Thank you. My mic was muted. Sorry, let's go down the list of things that I've screwed up so far today. Thank you for letting me know my mic was muted. I was laughing because so far I've stopped the stream twice. Once because I had to fix something with Restream. And then the other time because I accidentally just hit stop stream. Because I thought I had to do that to switch from the first scene. Which was the timer or whatever. I don't know. So I did that, stopped the stream, and then I started talking and my mic was muted. So we're starting strong. So I do want to pull up the client's reference sheet so I make sure I get all their. Whew. I gotta take a breath. Let's see. So yeah, we've been working on this Paladin last few streams. Been kind of just noodling away at it. This has been a fun commission though, just to kind of like test out some things. What? All right. Will that open up? Yeah. Okay. Oh geez. All right. Here we go. Hello, Darklogger. Welcome to the stream. You've witnessed so far me attempt to paint more of your commission, but so far I've closed the stream twice, and kept myself muted while laughing about the fact that I kept closing the stream twice. And then I started talking about the commission, and no one heard anything I was saying, but that's okay. Hoping to make some progress today on this piece. I mean, we've been making good progress on it. We've come a long way. It's like constant tech difficulties. Like I feel like I'm always just having that issue because I just am so. This is a pretty chill stream. I don't really take it super seriously. I'm not out to be a popular streamer or anything like that. So I don't dedicate enough time to like, get it all right and stuff. So I just I'm kind of winging it every time. All right. But yeah, maybe I should learn some more stuff and update some more stuff. I do want to go to my swatches here really quick. I want to get the pixie kind of blocked in here just so I have her color in there. I'll probably leave her pretty minimally detailed. Just because she's not really a focal point. If I over detail her, I think it'll take away. Yeah, no, it was funny though because there was some people watching already, and I was like, okay, cool, let's get started. And then I stopped the stream. It just went back to 0. Luckily, I think most of the people that were watching came back or saw that I was still streaming. Or they were like, oh, it's okay. He's just an idiot. And they were like, we'll go back. We'll. They've been very. Luckily, whoever's watching is very forgiving of my inadequacies. Hope you all have been having a good week. Well, what day is today? Tuesday, yeah. Hope everyone had a good Monday. We were off yesterday. Kid had a doctor's appointment, so I couldn't stream. Which is fine. Trying to think now if her dress would sit like that. No, it would probably bunch here on the ridge. We're gonna bunch here. Friday we played some Inculinati. Got back to that game. Wanted to start a fresh story mode of that. That was a lot of fun. Hoping to do more of that again this coming Friday. It's on the schedule. But gaming streams are usually tentative at best. Just because we get busy with commissions and stuff. Some of them are more pressing, unfortunately, than others. They can't all be as flexible as you, Dark Vlogger. But then again, if I had every commission that like didn't have a deadline, or was kind of just like, hey man, whenever you get around to it, like I don't think I'd get anything done, to be honest with you. I feel like my like ADHD would kick in, and I would just be like super distracted, unless it was something really motivating. Like this commission feels really motivating. I feel really inspired to work on this. But I've gotten some work where they're like, hey, just like whenever. And it would take like 6 months because it wasn't really one I was super passionate about. But they were like, hey, no rush. And I'm like, yeah, it would really help if you gave me a deadline. because I'm not really willing to get around to this. And I think deadlines are just good motivators. Like, so like usually I end up just giving myself a deadline. And I mean, sometimes those deadlines get pushed with those kinds of commissions, because stuff like ones that actually have deadlines that come in. But I also feel like that's kind of why I keep my prices fairly reasonable. Because we're working together on a more flexible schedule. I feel like if everything was more pressing and needed to be done much faster, I would have to increase prices a little more. I mean, I'll probably have to increase them anyway, just for the fact of how expensive everything is. Like we were thinking about this the other day, because every year my wife and I do like finances of like the business and how things are going and stuff, and things are going okay. Like they're going well enough, but like we were like, you haven't like updated your prices in a while, and I was like, yeah, I probably should do that. Because since we moved here, it's been 8 years we've lived in our home, and just because of the housing market or whatever, like everything in our house value has doubled in price since we got it. And like that is just like that's too expensive. Like I think like I mean I have no interest in selling my home, but like the fact that like people would buy a house the size of mine for that price seems ludicrous to me. Like so I just, and then you start thinking about the cost of everything else that's kind of happening, like even like all these streaming services like subtly increasing their prices to like $15 instead of like 4 years ago they were $9. You know what I mean? Like it's, everything's definitely ramping up in terms of expenses, and it adds up if you do a lot of that stuff. We don't really do a lot of that stuff, like subscription services and stuff, so we don't really worry about that aspect too much. But yeah, but it's just an example. Yeah, well, what we usually do is like, yeah, we'll do like, if a show comes out, like after the show, like I don't mind waiting for like the run of the show to be done. For sure, I do the same thing. So it's like if there's like a show, like for example, Loki, right, has like the new season. I really want to watch it, so when that season's done, I'll just go get a month of Disney Plus and I'll watch it through a month. Yeah, we got kind of lucky with our house at the time, for sure. Well, I'm glad. I don't want. That's the other thing. My prices are what they at because I need the prices to be that way. But like, I don't want people spending money on a thing that they technically can't afford. So I'm really grateful you said that, because I would just be like, hey man, we don't need to do this commission. I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to make people broke. I just want to make art that people like. In an ideal world, I would be able to do these much cheaper. And be able to live with that. Yeah, we bought ours around the same time too. Sorry, 2015 is when we got ours. And yeah, no, like even then we were like, this is a lot. Like that was, we were like, this is insane. We even thought it was expensive then. So the fact they jumped that much in like 8 years was like such a short amount of time. And like, yeah, I'm 35. But yeah, at the time, we were 27, 28. Yeah, no. So we kind of just lucked out with the house because, like, at the time we were just kind of like casually looking, and we found this one where we live now that was like a for sale by owner. It wasn't even through a company or whatever. So we just kind of randomly popped in, and like we really loved the house. We were like really intrigued by it or whatever. So we put in like a crazy lowball offer, right? And she obviously didn't take it. We were like, that's fine. And then we kind of looked for houses for like a year or so, and everything was kind of just terrible. There was one we were about to sign on, like right at the end. It sounds like something out of like a movie or some shit, but like we were like about to sign the papers on this other house that needed so much work, and it was so friggin' tiny that like even by I would say describing it as tiny and by American standards is kind of ludicrous because houses are ridiculous. But it was really tiny, even for us. We were just like you couldn't. It wasn't a house that had like potential for like growth in terms of like family living and stuff like that. it was definitely a temp home. It was like a transitional home for sure. So we were about to sign the papers on that, and then we got a phone call like the day before we were scheduled to sign on the house, that from the lady that was selling this house. And she called my wife by the wrong name when she called her. I don't even think she meant to call us, but she like took our lowball offer, because she couldn't sell her house because she was asking for too high of a price, and nobody was willing to do that. So yeah, we ended up getting it for pretty cheap. Well, not pretty cheap, but like cheaper. It was like 20 grand less than what she was asking. So, and it's wild when you are buying a house and stuff, because you're dealing with money that you don't usually, you're dealing with, like, if you think about it in a different mindset in terms of like what you're dealing with, like, it's not that bad. But like, if you think about like just sitting there and you're like, why am I dealing with like a transaction that is like, I don't know, a quarter or a half or whatever of $1 million? It hurts my brain, like, to think that like one thing costs that much. Nothing should cost that much money. I don't know. This is how I feel. But yeah. But we got lucky there, and we're really grateful. But like, my mom is like, oh, so like it's time to get a bigger house or whatever, because we like had another kid. And I was like, I'm not moving. Like, I'm not doing that again. Like, I refuse to do that again, especially now with how expensive houses are. Like, yeah, our house is worth a lot more, but like houses just cost more as well. So like, it doesn't really mean anything. It's just everything's more expensive and suckier. So it's like, I would be signing on for a more expensive house for a higher interest rate on a loan. Like, it would just be worse for me. Like, and I don't want to do that. I think that's stupid. It just sucks that it gets that bad, right? Like, it just sucks that like it has to get to that point, like that things are like this ridiculously expensive. Like, and I feel like we all deep down know it doesn't have to be that way, and that's like the more infuriating thing, that things don't need to be this expensive and this crazy. Yeah, no, that's how much rent is around my place too. It's like $2,400 a month at like a 1-bedroom apartment, and it's like, that's more than what I'm paying. Like that's crazy to me. Things are just too expensive. But like, I also don't know if like they, like, again, like, I don't know if they need to be. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, fingers crossed for people that are looking for a home. You kind of want that to happen, I guess. No, but it's just crazy to me, because I feel like we all deep down know that it doesn't need to be that expensive. But it stinks because it affects everything. So it's like, now it's like, you gotta like raise your commission prices. You gotta like do this and this and this, because like all of our bills now are more expensive. And like, my wife's currently going back to work, but she's only doing it part-time for a long time. So like, that's like, you know, made income lower. And then it's like, being a freelancer, it's like, you don't know if you have work, especially with like the state of like art right now. Like, art is so weird right now, because it's like, I can't convince you to not do AI art. I mean, I'd rather people didn't, but it's a little scary, honestly, to like wonder if you're gonna have work the next month or the next year. So I'm like submitting my portfolio, just like fingers crossed on stuff. There was a job that I was gonna apply to that was like a perfect gig, and a buddy sent it to me, and I was like, hey, like, you might be interested in this, and I was like, yeah, I'll check it out. But then, like, it was like a legit job, like in like not a contract or anything like that. So like I haven't had to like get a resume or anything together in years. So my resume was really out of date. So I had to like update all that stuff, and I was updating it all, and by the time I was done updating it all, the job was closed. I was like, God damn it. So I guess I would at least I'm prepared for next time, I guess. But yeah, like, I mean, I don't necessarily want, it's weird because like you kind of like, I wouldn't mind having like a remote job at a studio or something like that, but I still would want to do this, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to like just do that. That wasn't really the goal. The goal in life was to do this. Like, I'm really grateful that like I have somewhat of a career doing the thing that I wanted to do. Like, just like projects, contract work, illustrating for people, illustrating for myself, doing like making games and this stuff. Like, this has been what I always wanted to do. And I feel like for the most part I'm able to do it. But yeah, like working at a studio as like a part of that, I wouldn't mind doing if that was possible. But I also deep down know it's probably not possible, because I worked at a college as a graphic designer. I still work for them, kind of. I do contract work for them, but at the time I was working full time for them, and I couldn't balance it between that, and this was kind of increasing in demand in terms of clientele at the time, and I couldn't keep up with that and like be a good dad. And that's kind of the reason why I quit my job. I was like, this is what I want to do. I don't want to do the other thing. That just supplied security and stability. And at the time we were just kind of like, we're just gonna take the risk and just go for it. Because I can't just be miserable for the sake that I'm making a decent check. That was kind of my thought behind it. And I'm sure it's a very privileged perspective to have. I get that. Not everybody has the luxury of having that choice. I mean, for years I didn't have that choice, for a long time. I hated looking for jobs in the industry, to the point where I don't anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I technically don't. Like, I went to college or whatever as for a graphic designer. Then I started looking for graphic design jobs in the industry, and I couldn't get anywhere. I'd get like an interview, and they would all say like, "Oh, we really wish you had more experience." But how do you get more experience if you don't get any job, if you don't get hired anywhere? So I was just having that issue. I think I told this story before, but please stop me if you've heard it. If I'm boring people or annoying people, feel free to just say in the chat, "Hey, please stop." But yeah, so I went a few years. I was working at like a CVS. I was working like a retail at a pharmacy kind of thing. I was doing that. I was doing freelance odd jobs here and there. I was going to college. I was finishing college, and I was working a double shift on Sundays. As like the mornings I would work at the retail place, and I would at the CVS or whatever, and then then at night I'd be a dishwasher at a movie theater that like also served food. I did that for a while. I did all that, and then I was just kind of like, I just struggling trying to find a gig for years, with the same responses every single time. Wish you had more work, blah 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 blah. So that was kind of it for years. And I kind of lucked out with that college job because at the time they were just looking for people with like entry level stuff, but then they paid me more based on the experience I did have in my education. So and at the time I started doing I did a lot of like those like pop culture t-shirt designs. I still sell some of them in my shop, but like I did a lot of those like daily sites. That was like my freelance at the time. That was all I could really afford to do, working all those jobs and stuff, like like T Fury and stuff like that. I did a bunch of those kinds of websites, that art, and that was kind of like paying odd bills and stuff here and helping me kind of save up and get my footing in like the freelance kind of side of things. Yeah, I did an internship. I did an internship just to have experience because well, that was the thing. Like, I was well out of college when I did an internship. I did an internship at a record label doing like graphic design work for their albums, and like it was like not great work. It was like grunt work essentially, but like I did that. I was like the oldest person there at the time. I was like everyone's like high school, college kid, and I was like, was I out of college or was I like just finishing college? I think I was out of college when I did that. I'm pretty sure I was out of college. I did that literally just to get experience on my resume, because like I couldn't get anything. I couldn't get any experience at all. And I was hoping that they'd hire me, and of course they didn't, because they just want your free work, because you work for free as an intern, and it just gives them that, and they just churn you out every 6 months. And because that's all they care about. At the time, at least. It probably still is like that. I'm foolish if I think it isn't. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if it helped in terms of my experience. I don't know. But then I remember at college, I went with a career coach, and I was just kind of like, hey, like, can you help me like get a job? Because that's kind of what you do. That's like your department. And the guy would just like, he was like, yeah, let me check it out. I'll go talk with someone, whatever, and we'll come back, we'll meet and figure it out. He went, left him sitting at the table there for like 20 minutes, waiting. He comes back, and he's like, okay. Yeah, well, I think they kind of treat internships in the States as apprenticeships, but free. Like just free apprenticeships. Like they teach you stuff and they take you in as like you are going to have a job and climb up the ladder, but like most of the time you don't. They just kick you out. But they treat you to lunch sometimes, and that's fun, at least, I guess. I don't know, who gives a shit. But yeah. So what was I saying? I forgot what I was saying. Yeah. Oh, so I met with the career coach. I'm sitting there and waiting. And then he comes back and he says, okay, have you thought about starting your own business? And I'm like, you got nothing for me, dude. Don't you? I paid for this education for nothing. Thanks. It sucked. Like it was so defeating, because it's like I went to a trade school. I already learned everything I fucking learned in college. I literally was going to college so I can have a degree, just so I can have a degree. I already knew everything. I didn't mean, not to say it in a snooty way. I literally learned the same stuff in high school that I did in college. So I just went for a degree and debt. And it didn't help, didn't matter. So then I started my own business, and that's where we're at years later. Luckily it's been working out, but once again, we're kind of at a state where, will it? It might not. I don't know. I gotta keep hoping people like my work enough to keep hiring me. Or people don't just latch on to the techie gimmick, whatever it is. Yeah, that's kind of the vibe I'm thinking. And you know what? I'm okay with that. I think I'm not really after a big tech job or anything like that. Big company job. I don't want that. Because usually what comes with those jobs is very intense work schedule. And I don't think I can commit to anything like that. And still do the thing that I am stubbornly still going to do. Oh, it's under the folder. Okay. Whoa, jeez. I was wondering what was happening. Just gonna erase some of this sketch line here. No, what's weirdly enough, I think it was because the rent you mentioned seemed very similar to I was like, you know what, maybe he's around, maybe they're around here. Yeah, I'm from New Hampshire. Oh, I'm from Massachusetts, but I live in New Hampshire. I'm not gonna dox myself though. I will try not to. I'll try not to give my exact address. But yes, I live in New Hampshire. Oh, really? Cool. See, I have no problem with that. I have no problem with saying exactly where I was from there. I lived in Haverhill, Mass. Where if you feel comfortable, where is she from? Is she from Haverhill too? That'd be amazing. I find that everyone I know that tells me they're from Massachusetts is like from that area because it's the closest to the border of New Hampshire. She's from Lynn. Okay. I feel so bad because I keep thinking of every time you hear the city of Lynn, the great city of Lynn has its problems, but you know, there's good people there. I think of that old YouTube video where the guy made like the Jack Chop commercial, and it's like a, you know, like a Halloween version of like a jack-o'-lantern QVC commercial. He says, check out our layaway options for people in Lynn, and it's like a dude in a dumpster. He's like giving a middle finger. The fact that you need a layaway option for a $2 pumpkin carver, it's very funny to me. It was very good. I do think there was moments in that where I was like, when he started like severing off parts of him because he kept cutting himself, I was kind of like, it was not as funny, but it started very strong, and it ended pretty clean too. I've never been one to really like physical humor though. I always think it's kind of low. Like sometimes people do it really well, but like sometimes I always get the vibe that like in some physical humor, this is just I again, there are good examples of good physical humor, but I always get the vibe that like physical humor is done when you don't have any jokes left to tell, so you just slam yourself through a table or something. You know what I mean? Like you ran out of ideas of like good writing, so then you were just like, and then he goes through the table. Like, I don't know, like Kevin James was a really funny comedian, but then I didn't think he was as funny on like King of Queens, but he was all physical humor on like King of Queens and like belittling himself, and I don't know, wasn't as funny. Oh yeah, Latchkey Kid. Yeah, I was too. You know, things were different for the worst back then, to be honest with you. I think, well, that's the other thing too. Like, I'm not going to talk about it too much just because it's too dark, but like a lot of I've actually had conversations with like my wife's dad and stuff, and he's older, and he just talks about how bad the world is, and I'm like the world was really bad always, like always. We just know about it more now, and that's what sucks. I mean, it's good because you're informed, but it's bad because it's constantly in your face and just makes you depressed. And but yeah, no, the world's always been shitty. People have always been terrible. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They don't know how good they have it. Yeah, no, it's wild when I hear like someone talk about like, you can clearly tell someone's been like fear-mongered by mainstream news and stuff, that like they just think everything is terrifying and stay in their house. And it's like, yeah, the world does suck for sure. And I also can't really speak on all of it. Obviously there's some stuff that should not be happening in the world that are. But I guess in terms of comparing now from then is what I'm talking about, is like there was a lot of terrible stuff happening then too. And we can't forget that. We need to remember that. And whether we think about it in a positive way or a negative way. We don't learn from history if we don't talk about it. I gotta start reading what people say in chat, because it's only happening in Twitch and I'm streaming in YouTube too. So it's like, if somebody watches like the VOD of this, I'm just talking to myself. And I'm gonna look like a madman. Like, you guys watch Graham Outpouring's YouTube channel? I think he's gone crazy. Well, see, that's like this. That's like the. Well, I have. I'm using Restream, so it's like a thing that streams. Let me practice. Dark Vlogger on Twitch says, "Wait, how many chats do you have?" And see, I'm practicing. I have 2 technically. I have one on There's one on YouTube. I mean, technically Patreon too, but Patreon's just kind of streaming the YouTube stream. And that's the whole reason why I'm doing it. Is like I'm streaming on YouTube and I'm streaming on Twitch. And the YouTube one goes to Patreon, so people can watch it on Patreon. So like, technically 3, but I can navigate between. If I were to type in chat, I could navigate between the 2, but I don't type in chat. I just talk to whoever's talking in the chat. Because if I just typed to everybody, I wouldn't do anything. So, but I also don't read what chat's saying in Twitch. Then it's not showing YouTube what Twitch is saying. So it's like, I'm just talking to nothing on YouTube. People think I'm just crazy. And they're just like, this guy's talking about like housing and like the world and like, what is he going off on? And I'm like, I'm just responding to a conversation that's happening in a place that they don't see. So this one's going to be a weird one for people to watch on YouTube for sure. I'm going to try to repeat back messages more, so people know. Because I swear I'm not just going insane. If you're just joining us, everybody, we are streaming on Twitch and YouTube. I'm working on a commission for Dark Vlogger, who's in the Twitch chat. Working on his sick Paladin. Dark Vlogger says he hasn't opened YouTube in a while. Yeah, we have a YouTube channel for videos I just speed up a lot of the paintings I do, and you can see them all on there. I have a channel. I can link it in the chat for anyone that wants to know. Hopefully this works. I don't know if it does. We'll find out. Let me click. Does it work? It works. Sick. Yeah. So there you can find just sped up, like speed paint videos of paintings I do on stream. I will be continuing my Poke Monday series soon. My priority right now is this commission though, and a couple others. So it might not be until like the new year that we continue it, but I do gotta continue it because the last one I'm working on is an entry for the Pokemon illustration contest, and I really want to enter that contest. So I gotta get those done. go to your little reference sheet here again, Dark Logger. Okay. I'm trying to look at the pixie here. I was gonna make her just like glowing blue the whole time. Like completely glowing blue, or do you want it just like the reference that you supplied? Well, just kind of like blue tones, right? So it's like you can still tell she has like skin and stuff, but like she's just like a more blue tones to her. Like her hair still be like black, but it would be like navy blue instead of black. Exactly. Very Hey Listen vibes for sure. And tomorrow, are we streaming tomorrow? No. Thursday, I'm going to try to do some more Rune Rally cards because, man, I am addicted to making those cards. I kind of want to do more of them. I've been working on a tabletop game called Rune Rally. A tiny one. Yeah, no problem. Heroic Antagonist, thank you for coming by the stream. If you gotta go, you gotta go. I appreciate it. We'll be back Thursday if you want to stop by then. Thanks for coming by and chatting. But yeah, so I've been working on a couple tabletop games at the same time. Pages of Fate is more of like a adventure deck building game. I've been working on it for years, just in very, very passively. But then I started working on this game late last year, a little bit, just kind of writing it down and roughing it out, called Rune Rally, where it's you basically just play as wizards racing, and you cast spells at each other to kind of like try to win the race. So I've been working on that, and the game feels like it's at a point where it's pretty much done. So now I'm kind of at the point where I'm just I really just want to make the art and like the look of it. So I've been having a lot of fun with the cards, and I don't know if you guys want me to show them, I can, or we can just wait till Thursday and I'll show them then. But you can see all the updates on Patreon. They're public. I think they're public posts. You might have to be a follower. I don't know. But being a follower is free too, so I'm trying to just post more on there than on social media, just because social media, it's like you mention Patreon or a link somewhere and they like your reach just tanks. And like I'm just so tired of it. So I've been trying to just like be on there more. Use that. All right, take care, heroic antagonists. See you later. And good luck fixing it. Let's see. Might add just like a little red in there, just so she doesn't look ghostly. I don't know, what do you think? It's looking pretty good. Yeah, no, she looks really cool. It and it doesn't like. I was worried it would be like too much of a focal point, but I think if we kind of keep it that tone, I think it'll be okay. It's so fun to like work on a commission with the person who hired you to do the commission watching, because it's like you're like at a barbershop. I have to like zoom out and be like, how's that look? Like it's like I'm holding the mirror up and asking you how the back of your head looks. do you like how I cut your hair? Is that the right shade of blue? It's actually really fun. Like it's kind of fun to like, because sometimes like communicating over email just gets so tedious, that it's kind of nice to like be like, hey, how's this look? And like you get like that feedback like right away. I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't think people would want that all the time, but it's definitely helpful. My God, is there anything more anxiety-inducing than hoping you didn't screw something up and waiting to hear about it? I have a real hard time with well, I did. I don't think I really do much anymore, but like I used to have a really hard time with edits. Like you work really hard in a thing, and then like they'd be like, "Oh, can you edit this?" Even if it was minute, it's like, God, man, I just want to get it in one. You know, just like be done, get it in one. That's why a lot of my stuff are like heavily researched, because I just try to get it in one every time. Going back and forth. Sometimes it's fun. Like I like talking. Character commissions are fun. Yeah, no, I think there has to be a lot of trust though with commissions sometimes too. I think most of the time like commissions are just kind of like, yeah, you just got to kind of trust the artist that they're going to do their thing. It might not be exactly what you envisioned. Not you specifically, but like more the royal you, the client. I think most of the time has to try to understand that like we're probably not going to nail exactly what's going on in your head, and I think a lot of the time people understand that, and which is good because it definitely helps with communication not having to be so constant, and it doesn't demand the client immediately respond, because you're just kind of like trusting that they'll get it at least in the ballpark. The goal is always to exceed those expectations, but yeah, I mean, not loving the tip of that spear, so I will go back and fix that. God, he's looking so cool, man. Like, this is probably one of my favorite commissions. Probably my favorite commission I've done this year, at least. And I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I wasn't really loving the pose initially when I did the pose. I was like, oh, I want it to... I wish it was more, like... I was worried he looked too narrow. Like, he was, like... too to the side, so it like made him too like a rectangle. So initially I was like, I don't know. I was like I don't know if you'll like it. So I was a little hesitant about the sketch, but then I kind of, as I was finalizing it, I was kind of digging it more. So then but once I started painting it, I'm really loving how it's looking after being painted. It's coming together really well. Yeah, I think it was really helpful getting all the information that I got from you, for sure. So I think that's nice. I guess it's more of a client having an understanding that, like, you can't... There's always going to be a little wiggle room for error, I guess. Not, I want to say error, like, I guess interpretation. So it's like, I don't know. Let's just shoot an example. Oh, perfect example is the horse's God, what is it called? The dressing of the horse, right? I don't think this was exactly what you were thinking it would be, but from a designer artist standpoint, I was like, oh, that'd be cool because it's not just red, and if it was all stripes, it would be super distracting. But it kind of adds a little texture and variety to like the design aesthetic of like that house. You know what I mean? So I was like, oh, what if I tried that? And like what was cool is that like you as the client, like you could have just easily been like, no, I hate that. That sucks. But I think you kind of, as you were seeing it being made, I think you kind of were more like, oh yeah, that makes sense. You know? And I think that's kind of what clients and stuff tend to have to kind of understand, I guess, is like the God, I'm trying to think of a way to not say it in a way that's like rude, like oh so I have a client that does like, I do like marketing pieces for, right? And sometimes they're like yeah, exactly. And that was exactly what I was gonna say. Like there's a marketing company that I work for, and they have this tendency to sometimes like tell me how to design a thing, but they don't know how to design a thing. So it's like, it would be like, oh, I want a 500 pixel ad, which is like this big on a screen. And they're like, it's like 5 paragraphs of text, and they're like, I want a picture in it. I'm like, you're not going to be able to read that. Like, that's just going to be, you're spending money and flushing it down the toilet at that point. Because it's like, you can't even read that, like from a design standpoint. And it's more like trusting that like the person that, exactly, it's like having trust in that person that like has trained to do the thing you hired them for. So it's like, and you have to kind of like let go of that control a little bit. Like you just have to trust. It's like a trust fall. You just gotta be like, I hope you catch me. And like, what was it that you said you did? You did like game dev. Like I develop tabletop games just because they're the closest thing to illustration and design that I can do where I'm making a game. But I'm not going to go do video game dev because I have no clue how to do that. I would rather just hire you to do it. Like, I'm going to have an idea and I'm going to be like, hey, can I do this thing? Can you wizard this? And you'll say, no, that's ridiculous. Or yes, I can. And that's just kind of how it has to work. You know, like I'm not going to hire. And like, that's why I always find it weird when like somebody hires me for a piece that's like totally out of my web dev. Yeah, but still, like I'm content with my website, but I'm not gonna be like going around being like, I'll design your website because I know stuff. No, I don't. I'm gonna refer somebody to somebody like you and be like, go to them. Like, don't hire me for this because I will just train wreck this and make it cost twice as much. But like when I get hired to do something that's like totally out of my realm, I question it. I'm like, did you look at my portfolio, or like, do you see something that I don't in my work? And that happens. Like some of my first commissions were ones that I didn't know I was capable of doing. And I think somebody just like trusted that I had the skill and know how to do it at the time. But sometimes people are just way off. They don't even look at my work. They just need to hire an artist. And I think that's you're wasting money at that point if you don't do your research. But like my brother's an artist, and like we refer each other work all the time because like he's more in like the style. It's more like animation, cartoonish kind of style. And like I got a commission a while back that was like that style, and I was like, I'm not gonna do that. Like I'm learning to do stuff in that style just because I've developed more of an interest in it, but I'm not the guy to hire for that. So I would refer him, and he would refer me stuff. So we kind of have this back and forth of like stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know where I'm going with that rant, but yeah, I think it's cool to like just have a little bit of trust in who you're hiring. And like it also shows too, like if you don't have trust in the person you're hiring for the job, and like it gets like designed by committeed a lot, or like you can definitely tell when something was like designed by a committee versus designed by the person that they hired to do it. You can see the inspiration and like the passion just sucked out of it. Like I've designed so many pieces that just ended up being like some board meeting decided a billion different notes and just had me move shit around, redo stuff, retool stuff, like to the point where it's just like lost all character and all life, and it just becomes nothing, like gibberish. It's just not good. And like honestly, like that's where I kind of see AI art going, is like design. It's gonna just be designed by committee. I don't know, like I don't see people being able to make like edits to pieces on the fly, and like no one's going with like their intuition on a piece. It's just gonna be like catered to those large corporations that decide everything in a meeting, versus someone who's passionate and has an idea of what they're looking for. And if that's the direction it goes, I'm totally okay with it. Of me personally, but I don't see that being great for an industry. Yeah, I just I don't know, I just kind of hope it goes the way of like NFTs, where it's like a trend and like it kind of loses its luster and people don't really care about it. But I don't know, it really is a little worrisome. I try not to worry about it. I'm trying to just stay focused on what I'm doing, but yeah, no, it's concerning for sure. And like, it's not that I don't think there's no place for AI tech. Like, I think there is a place for AI tech. I think there is a place for it. I just don't think it should be. I think right now it's used in such an aggressive, attacky way to be like, I don't need to pay an artist. I can just do it myself. Like there was one software I just saw recently that was like clearly was trying to just replace you paying an animator to animate videos. And I was like, I can see it being a cool tool, right? But if your ad is saying like, don't pay an animator, like it like your ad is straight up saying that, like that feels really wrong to me. I don't know, like that. Like that just screams like corporation doesn't feel like they deserve to pay somebody something, so like they like made the software. I don't know, that's just what it feels like to me. And maybe I'll I don't need to interact with humans. Dark Vlogger has said on Twitch, I don't need to interact with humans. I can just pay a company to do it myself. Yeah. Yeah. Like, it's I don't know, it's wild. It's wild, this like when I think of we were talking about earlier on here about like how people are comparing things like being worse or better now than they are then. I think the one thing that I would do that comparison to is like we definitely seem to be more isolated. Like in our way of trying to connect more with people, I feel like in a way we've isolated ourselves. Like we're connecting with people on like the internet and stuff, but like that in itself gets overwhelming as well. And like, and we're connecting on such a surface level. Like we're not really getting to know people, understand people's perspectives, understand people's ideas or visions or whatever. We're like quickly seeing a person and making judgments. And there are some people you can read real easy that are immediately terrible, but like they're like, I don't know. I just think you need deeper connection than that in the world, and it's hard to find that now. Just gonna wrap up here in a few minutes. What are you playing right now? What's going on? No. I don't want to play that. That's all right. We'll stop anyway. All right. We'll wrap up there for today. Thank you all for coming out to the stream. We'll be back Thursday. Going to be working on some cards for Rune Rally. Just kind of chatting about the game and stuff too. Get people starting talking about that, I guess. And yeah, thanks for coming out. And hope you're digging the commission so far. Dark Vlogger, I appreciate it. You commissioned me for this. It's really fun. This is a really cool piece. But yeah, thanks for everyone coming out. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you Thursday. Later.